Hi, I'm Wayne Alaroot for Personal Liberty. At this moment, despite the lies and distortions you hear from the Obama-adoring mainstream media, we are in fact experiencing an Obama Great Depression to rival anything that we experienced in 1929. But the truth's being covered up by an ever-rising stock market that is completely disconnected from the economy and a country awash in Obama money. The Kool-Aid drinking media is shocked by hundreds of hard facts I've put together proving we are in a Great Depression. They ask me, well then why is the stock market doing so well? Why are there no breadlines or tent cities like 1929? And the answer is simple. Big government spending on an unimaginable scale masks the true picture of our economy. What you're seeing is a fraud, the biggest Ponzi scheme in world history. There would most certainly be breadlines in tent cities if government wasn't handing out billions in checks paid for by the Federal Reserve printing trillions in fake dollars. You've seen the numbers. Obama is the biggest spender in world history, adding $6 trillion to the debt in only 4 years. Where do you think all that money's going? To all-time record numbers of Americans on food stamps, disability, welfare, and unemployment benefits. Now, of course, we're embarking on free health care for 40 million new patients. Would you expect anything less? With money we don't have and no new doctors to treat them. Makes sense, doesn't it? And just to be certain that the U.S. economy is completely destroyed, now for good measure, we want to legalize 12 million illegal immigrants, giving them access to over $9 trillion in entitlements and adding over $6 trillion to the debt. Makes sense, doesn't it? The government is borrowing 46 cents for every dollar it spends. It's all crazy, literally. We have borrowed from China to pay entitlement checks to Americans who no longer feel like going to work, and to hand out billions in foreign aid to countries that hate us and support terrorism against the United States. All of this while the Fed is running the printing presses day and night to fund their WMDs, weapons of mass distraction. You know what that is? Wall Street. As long as the stock market's up, Obama knows the lapdog media will report that the economy's in recovery. The plan's brilliant. Give Obama credit. You'd almost think Obama's relying on Bernie Madoff as his chief economic consultant, except even Bernie Madoff wouldn't have the cojones to pull off this scam. Obama has succeeded in turning Wall Street into a rigged craps game. The government is guaranteeing the results. Obama demands the Fed hands out $85 billion of fake money each and every month, and they drop it right onto the plates of the richest publicly traded companies. This guarantees the stock market goes up, while the CEOs of those companies get filthy rich with rising stock options, which guarantees banks, Wall Street, and billionaires like Warren Buffett continue to blindly support Obama while he destroys the middle class. Meanwhile, on Main Street, the real economy is dying. There are no jobs. There is no recovery. 90 million able-bodied working-age Americans are no longer working. The workforce participation rate is setting all-time records for futility. U.S. worker hours down. U.S. worker salaries stagnating, while our cost of living is skyrocketing. Recent college graduates are saddled with debt, record levels of student loan default, and post-college graduation unemployment like no one's ever seen. Older Americans are dipping into their retirement savings in record numbers just to pay bills. 16 million Americans live in poverty in the suburbs, and almost 50% of Americans have less than $500 in savings. Middle class is being destroyed, wiped out, left with the short end of the stick. The real economy on Main Street is dying. And worst of all, our children and grandchildren are going to get the bill. This $85 billion per month being used to fraudulently prop up the stock market is all debt, folks, being piled on to future generations, kids who aren't even born yet. Then there's part two of this Obama Ponzi scheme. Separate from the Fed's $85 billion per month of fake money is the government spending scheme. Obama's handed out billions of dollars of your money for stimulus, bailouts, green energy investments, and government contracts to the biggest publicly traded companies, the most corrupt unions, and the most connected Democratic contributors. But none of the benefit goes to you, small business or the middle class, who is stuck paying the bill. Government deficit spending with money we don't have is now paying for virtually everything at every level. And it's all to hide the reality that we're living in an Obama Great Depression. There are no breadlines or tent cities simply because we're living on the government dole, paid for with debt. This is fraud on a massive scale. Housing allowances and food stamps prevent breadlines and tent cities. Free breakfasts and lunches for almost every kid in the country makes it seem like children aren't going hungry. Earned income tax credits are handed out to millions of lower-income Americans, including millions of illegal aliens who pay no taxes in the first place. It's just a welfare check. At the same time, government keeps interest rates artificially low to pump up home and car sales. And oh yes, to keep the interest on the national debt from eating up the entire budget and bankrupting America. And if record low interest rates aren't enough, government purchases of GM cars up 79%. See, the government is artificially propping up GM and making it look like a success with your tax dollars. It's all a scam. Take away all the spending and printing by government, and it would look exactly like 1929. We're in an Obama Great Depression masked by 50 million people on food stamps and 14 million on disability, and government spending that didn't exist, wasn't even imagined during the first Great Depression. The true extent of this economic Armageddon is being hidden, disguised, and propped up with programs and Fed printing that no one ever thought about in the 1920s or 1930s or 1940s. What's the end game? First, all this spending and printing is to prevent economic collapse and total panic, unrest in the streets. Second, it's the Marxist dream, redistribution of wealth to Obama's voters and contributors. And third, it's to create a two-class society. Karl Marx hated the middle class. He felt they needed to be eliminated to create equality, fairness, and social justice, i.e., shared misery. So will people be hurt? Sure, some of you will lose your jobs, some your homes, but to Marxists, the ends justify the means. Obama needs a two-class society. The two classes are the super rich and the poor. And the key is that both are dependent on Obama. The super rich love crony capitalism, with Obama handing out stimulus, Fed printing, and government contracts like candy. That's how the super rich stay rich and get richer. The rest of us will be poor, which makes us dependent on Obama for government checks to survive. Government will have to pay for our lives from cradle to grave because they're confiscating almost all of our income. This is a Ponzi scheme that even Bernie Madoff could never have imagined. That's why you need to develop Y-Pods, your personal Obama defense shield. It's an 18-point plan, and it's all included in my new #1 national bestseller, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. I wrote it to show the middle class and small business how to survive, thrive, and actually prosper from every move Obama makes for the next 4 years. Because we know the moves he's going to make. Don't get mad. That does nothing for you. Get even. You can find my best-selling book, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, online at Amazon.com or at Costco, Barnes & Noble, Sam's Club, Books A Million, or any fine bookstore. Or you can buy it in ebook form to read on your favorite e-reader or iPhone. That's how you turn lemons to lemonade. And Obama is certainly the biggest lemon in the history of America. You can find out more information in the box right under this commentary. Just look for the bright yellow book cover, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, to order your very own copy. I'm Wayne Allen Root for PersonalLiberty.com. See you next week. Same time, same place. God bless America.